Hey y'all, let's talk about what's going to be in my cart for 2023 season. We're out here at Arizona at the Vista del Camino course. So I guess fittingly, let's start with my fast drivers, which is the Hurricane. I only have 6 of them in my bag. 3 of them are just kind of old school Pro Line Flex, from flippy to neutral to overstable. This neutral one is, if it's not very windy, is definitely going to be my workhorse. That's this one right here. I can hyzer flip this up if I crunch it hard to go pretty straight. If I got a tailwind, I'll put it pretty flat, get a full flex out of it. This particular run has a lot of glide, so I really appreciate that in my older age. The glide really helps, especially for a 12-speed disc. Yep, love this run. Next neutral is my 2021 Tour Series Hurricane. This is another one. I'll use this more for forehands. It's pretty flat. Also very neutral flyer. You can kind of throw this flat, get a full flex S out of it with both backhand and forehand. For semi-overstable, I throw this a lot if there's any wind going on, especially out here and at Fountain Hills. This is a 2019 Tour Series. It's got a little bit more dome. It's got a little bit of flex to it, so I can really kind of crunch into it, throw it hard. It started off really overstable, but for now it's just semi-overstable. I can still work it. I can get really good distance into a headwind into it. And yeah, really love this run of discs. And then for the most overstable slot, I've got an old Pro Line that's kind of new and flat, a little bit stiff. I'll use this backhand and forehand also, mostly spike hyzers. Definitely not a distance Hurricane for me, more of a controlled distance. I don't really probably throw this more than like 330. And Hurricanes, money. For the fairway slot, becoming my favorite disc, the more and more I throw it, is the Pipeline. I have a few of them in my bag. This one's the original First Flight Pro Line. It's been in my bag since 2016. There's another one that it's swapped out with a little bit, but this is my hyzer flip galore laser beam when I need to throw a really accurate shot in the woods. Out here, I more would use it for a roller. It's a great long distance roller, super controllable. Like hole 2, it's a great roller for that one. And SP pipelines, I have 2. This one is pretty seasoned, beat in. Tailwind bomber, actually. I can almost throw this as far as my Hurricanes into it with a tailwind. It's got so much glide. It's a little bit domier than this one. This one's semi-overstable for a pipeline. I can throw it with good hyzers, kind of crunch it flat and get a nice straight flight out of it. Very controllable. I'll even throw this one for forehands too, because it's a little bit flatter, feels good in the hand. And yeah, Pipeline. You know I love that one. All right, so a little bit slower speed. I got in the fairways, we have 3 other discs. I got 1 of each from First Flight Pro Line Vortex. This is mostly used for rollers, technical rollers. I don't use it as much out here in the desert because it's a little bit too windy for a roller disc, but I love it in the woods. I'll even throw it for turnover shots for particular lines in the woods. It's really easy to control, great discs. Narrow rimmed, but you can still get a lot of distance out of it actually with little effort, the Vortex. And kind of the other end of the spectrum is this Banzai. It looks like it's glow plastic. That's what I love about it, but it doesn't glow in the dark. It only glows in the day. But I love this basically use it for hyzer shots. I don't try to do anything too fancy besides throw it with like 300-foot hyzers. 275 to 300, really special for that. Or I'll probably use it forehand to up to about 250, that kind of shot for forehand. And then a sail. This is another kind of like, I would compare it to a faster version of the Vortex. Pretty understable, but if I got a lot of air and I need to throw a roller, I can get this to fly quite a bit of ways before I get it to roll. It's got a lot of glide. This one's more flat. I just like them flatter because they feel better in my hand. It's also got a little bit of give to it, which I kind of tend to like for all my discs. This is also a high elevation bomber. I imagine this is going to get a lot of work later in the year when we go up to Flagstaff and play for Masters Worlds. So for mid-ranges, I usually have a lot more Aftershocks in my bag, but I don't throw them as much out here. It's mostly driver courses, but sometimes on some upshots. So I have one fairly new limey Aftershock. It's my last limey. It's still pretty new. I would call it neutral. I can kind of do anything I want on it with this particular Aftershock. I tend to throw more Squalls actually. They're a little bit, this glow run's a little bit more wind resistant, and it's so exposed out here that I really love this glow run. This is the older one, this is a new one. But this is kind of a little bit more hyzer flipper. This is a flip, throw flat, get straight, slide straight. Love the Squall. And for a couple other specialty drivers, I actually have the Debo run of Rogues. This is a kind of a unique run of a Rogue. It's a little bit flatter, a little bit more overstable than any other Rogue I've thrown. So this was actually my Thailand main driver. I kind of brought it out and played with it the week before I went there, and I found that I could throw pretty much any shot I wanted, backhand or forehand with it. It's very neutral. It's not max distance, but throws far enough where I can get nice flex shots with it forehand and backhand, even throw hyzers. Yeah, it's kind of a very versatile neutral disc, but for a Rogue, more on the overstable side. And as far as a fast flippy driver, the Tempest, I pretty much only use this in tailwinds, but when I have a good tailwind, I can kind of crunch this with hyzer and it just glides and goes for a really long ways. I can feel like I can throw them further than my Hurricanes with the right conditions, but I don't dare throw it into a headwind. And now for a little bit more of our specialty discs. I tend to throw these actually a lot more than I normally do out here in the desert because it's windy, but I have a brand new fresh first flight breaker. I really like this one because they're some of the more overstable breakers, and that's what I want a breaker for, is to have a nice flat flight with a fade where I can trust it into a little bit of headwind. And wow, 2013, so this is a 10-year-old disc, but it's still brand new. But I just love the feel of this plastic in this run for breakers, and yep, trust it. And for the Quaker, or the Quake, I like to call them Quaker too because it rhymes with breaker. It's kind of like a faster version of the disc. I'm using the last year's NOAA Tour Series breaker, or Quaker, and it's got little hearts all in the stamp. I really like that. Gives me good vibes. It's a really pretty discs. And this, as far as Quakes go, I would say they're more on the neutral to stable side for a Quake. That's why I like them. I don't have to really crunch on it to get it flat for a little bit before hyzering. It's really good for forehands too. That's what I love about the Quake. It's so versatile. Feels really good in the hand, forehand, backhand. And when I really need it to be overstable, I use a fresh blue ice glow one Midnight Flyer. This one's really beefy. I cannot get this one to go flat at all unless I put really hard anhyzer on it. So this is a very dependable windy upshot disc. Love the Quake. And then when I really need to rip a fast disc with hyzer and some skip, not go very far for me, is the Hypercane. It's really trustworthy. If it's a ripping headwind and I still need it to go a bit and need it to be under control, I'm going for this. Or if I really need to throw a wide swinging hyzer, even with a skip shot, the Hypercane really fills the slot well for me. And to the funnest discs, the putters. I am a steady, traditional steady. I like the beaded steady. Been throwing them since they came out. It's a great, dependable disc. It's really trustworthy in the wind. I basically have 5 that are all different stability, from flippiest, probably next flippiest. This would be the next flippiest. This used to be my putting putter, but now it's mostly just for upshots. And then here's my putting one. And then a pretty fresh one for a stable or straight into a headwind kind of steady. I use all D-line. I really like the feel and grip of D-line in all conditions. I can always kind of trust my grip with these, so I've kind of been a D-line ever since my whole career, so these are the putters I'm working with. All right, I think that pretty much covers what's going on in my bag right now out here in the desert for 2023. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.